Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Arseholics podcast. We're recording on the whistle after a mental game. Man United have just beaten Arsenal 3-2 at Old Trafford. Arsenal went 1-0 up. It was 1-1. Arsenal down 2-1. It was 2-2. Then Man United 3-2. Game over. Michael Carrick is apparently leaving Man United immediately, which is very weird to announce right after the game. But anyway, look, let's just get right into it, guys. How do we feel after that game?
I'm really frustrated because I would love to hear what you guys think, but I don't think Man United are very good, and we just lacked. We were just so naive in that game, and we let a good. We didn't play amazingly well, and maybe you could argue we didn't deserve to win that game. But we certainly, I look back on the 90 minutes and I'm like, what did United actually do to trouble us? Like through any period of time where we like under the cosh, there's a few, like a little period after we scored the first goal where they were dominant, but it's not like they troubled us that much. They were just, fair play to them, really clinical with their first two goals. Took, what were probably like half chances and turned them into really good goals. And then we gifted them a penalty, and that was it. And we just couldn't really do enough at the other end to make it count. And we missed a few decent chances. And I think, put it this way: if United had had the chances we had, I think they would have scored a lot more goals than we did.
That's probably fair. Miles, what did you think? Any additional thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, I feel very similar to what Aaron just said. To be fair, I don't think it was too bad of a performance. I actually quite enjoyed watching us with the ball. I think you can definitely see the progress that we've made in the last few months, or beyond that probably. The confidence that we've got on the ball, and the passing moves, and every single one of our players is more than happy to receive the ball in dangerous areas, which is not something that you could say maybe like a year ago, for example. And I think that is something I saw throughout the game every time we had the ball. And there were obviously periods where we did enjoy like big spells of possession with the ball. But yeah, like Aaron was saying, kind of defensive lapses in concentration. Obviously, one huge mistake from Odegaard has basically cost us. And yeah, I think United were there for the taking today. And I think it probably demonstrates not necessarily the level that we're at, but it probably demonstrates or shows the age and naivety of this team overall, which is not a criticism. I think that's just a natural thing that we're going to see as this team kind of develops and grows. But I think tonight's game was a good example of where you see some of the mistakes that we're probably going to see over the next few months.
But Miles, I think the frustrating thing is like you could argue the two worst players on the pitch, arguably like Auba and Partey, are our two most experienced players.
I completely agree with Partey. Yeah. I didn't think Auba was that bad today, aside from the miss. I think he only missed that one chance.
Fair. I don't think you could say he wasn't bad, but he was hardly in the game.
I don't know. I kind of disagree, and I think maybe this is maybe a bigger conversation with Aubameyang around like how his style of play and kind of role in the team has maybe changed a little bit, or has had to change, because there's been games where you've seen Aubameyang literally not touch the ball and literally not be involved. But I felt like he was actually involved quite a bit in a few of the build up to a few of the kind of attacking moves. I'm not saying he had an amazing game. He didn't, but it wasn't as bad as some other games where I've seen him be completely anonymous and had zero impact. I felt like his kind of first touch, he was flicking balls over the top of Odegaard, ESR, and generally he was okay. Partey was the one, as we all three of us were saying kind of in our chat during the game, it was like every 5 minutes was FFS Partey. And like he's done it again, sort of thing. So he was the real. He's been like, I called him out in the last episode from a defensive perspective or standpoint, and today I feel like he potentially at fault for the Fernandes goal. I think it was the Fernandes goal, maybe being a bit harsh, but I think generally, like, I think everyone probably noticed it, right? Just the lack of concentration when making a pass, and the sloppiness basically is just like, it's just really unacceptable. Like, I don't think there's any other way to describe it. It's just really unacceptable, whether you're however old he is, 27, 28, and kind of an experienced player or not. I feel like that performance probably deserves for him to be dropped for the next game, but I don't think he can be because of the options that we've got in that position. But yeah.
I think you're right. The thing is, for Partey, I think in the first half in particular, we were pretty scathing, and I think it really was a case, if I remember correctly, it really was a case where every 5 minutes it looked like he was doing something silly. And but at the same time, even during that period, it felt like there were moments where the things that he was doing was, he's probably the only one of our central midfielders who can do that. He's probably the only one of our central midfielders who is powerful enough to, at pace, sort of take the ball, carry it through in a kind of very high tempo situation, play some kind of fairly unorthodox passes, etc. And obviously, in the second goal that we scored, his involvement was pretty important. And so with the second half, I actually didn't think Partey was that bad in the second half. Like, I don't think the mistakes level was as it was in the first half. And in fact, I thought he was okay. I think there's a broader question here with those two players about what our expectations are of them for one reason or another, and how they meet them against that. So, for example, Myers, I think, with your point about Aubameyang, I think it's a case where at games like this, ultimately, you're not going to get that many chances. You're not going to get that many moments in the final third where you can make a difference, whether it's through an assist or through a goal. Mm-hmm. And, for your average striker, like, I don't think he had a bad game. But if he is Pierre-Emerick Aubameyang, and if he is our club captain, if he's our, main striker or whatever, okay, look, if we compare to what happened, I know it's Cristiano Ronaldo and that's a different entity altogether, but he finished well, and even though he's not involved in so much of what Man United do, in some of those key moments, he was delivering.
Okay, a fair point. I guess the sort of the where I'm coming from with my points on Aubameyang is, I don't think we lost the game because of him. If that makes sense. So if we're pointing out the sort of two players that probably had the worst performances, arguably, Partey definitely won. And Aubameyang, maybe he didn't have a fantastic game. I agree with that, but I don't think he had such a bad game where it's worthy of calling out that performance, because I don't think it's what cost us today. Arguably, the chance that he missed could have been a bit of a game changer.
So what is it? What is it you think cost us today? And why have we lost this game? I'm not agreeing. I'm not disagreeing with you. I don't think Auba and Partey are.
Well, I think at 2-2, at 2-2, it's a pretty level game, and I think both teams could argue they deserved. Like, if the game had finished then, I think both teams would have been fairly content with a point. So I think that indicates it was a fairly even game at that point. And it just seems like it. I don't know if this is what's cost us the game, because we had plenty of time to get back into it, but that kind of moment of madness from Ødegaard has really cost us. It has really, really cost us, and I'm not sure what he was thinking. Can't really explain why he would think that was a good challenge to make. Maybe he thought Fred's about to shoot and only choice he's got, but he's not like he's one-on-one with the keeper. So I don't know. I don't know why he's gone and done that, but I feel up until that point, it was a fairly even game. Both teams had periods of dominance. Both teams had periods of possession. And we were well in it. So, if you look at the goals that we conceded, I do feel like there's a definite defensive switch off on the first goal. I think it was I'm just trying to remember now, but the Fernandes goal. Because if you watch how Fred kind of drifts into the box, you see Ødegaard sort of 30, 40 yards out from goal. Ødegaard's sort of next to him, and Fred just sort of like meanders into the box basically, and Ødegaard doesn't track him. And again, like kind of picking on Thomas Partey here, he's just ball watching. Like he's not aware of who's behind him. And Fred's behind him, but he doesn't once turn around to see like where's the danger sort of thing. He's just ball watching. But to be fair, I think the ball's covered by like Tomiyasu, who was it, Sancho, who had the ball. I can't remember now. But yeah, I think that they're the sorts of things that you hope when they go through their video analysis and they assess and understand why we've conceded the goals we did today. That particular one, I hope that they can point out quite clear mistakes. You know, Ødegaard really needs to track Fred because he should see that Partey's not looking, and he should just go with him basically. And if he goes with him, then Fred doesn't receive the ball, and that move doesn't end up the way it did.
Is it a case where it's worth stepping out of the detail a bit for this game, and because in some ways it feels like this game has also hit home a couple of things which seem pervasive. So one of those things is leading up to this game, we'd scored 3 goals away from home this season.
No way. Didn't even know that.
Yeah. And so of the 2 goals we scored today, one was just, an absolute freak occurrence. And the other was a, fantastic move. But anyway, nonetheless, that's 5 goals away from home, and one of them today was just a freak. And the other kind of pervasive thing, I suppose, is we have talked a lot about how much we like our defense. We've talked a lot about how, our back five, our systems, whatever you want to call it, fills us with a little bit more confidence generally. But at the same time, when we lose, when we start conceding, we start conceding. And Man City, we conceded a bucket load of goals. Liverpool, we conceded a bucket load of goals. We've conceded 3 today. We conceded 2 at Chelsea.
I don't think you can look at this performance and say that it's not like Man United cut us open time and time again today. I think you have to give Man United credit. They were really clinical, and they turned 2 chances where like I think if Aubameyang had those chances, he probably wouldn't score those chances. And like the Fernandes finish was really good. Ronaldo, I mean, you give the ball to Ronaldo in those positions, he's going to score, and it was a really well worked goal. But apart from that, Ramsdale make a good save?
But often these games are going to come down to those things. It's not necessarily that we're going to get battered for a whole game, right? And I don't think that's the issue. When you're playing against teams with good players, they're not going to need that many chances. So you could be 3-0, you concede 3 goals and only have let 5 chances go. I don't know. I'm wondering whether at some point it feels like whenever we've had a bad game in terms of scoreline, whether it's a defeat, whether it's conceding a few goals, I think because we're quite positive fans, and I think we're trying to be realist and we're trying to kind of not be sensationalist about it. I think we can be fairly hesitant to go in hard at the team or whatever. But I think the fact of the matter is, when we conceded multiple goals against Chelsea, Liverpool, Man City, and United, and you'd say on paper those are the 4 best kind of squads in the league. So look, I think as we've talked many times before, it may be a case where this is just a season where we just need to beat the teams that we beat. Fine, okay, and maybe we can put it down to that. But what do you guys think? Do you guys think that this is a case where it's just a case where maybe we'll be exposed against teams that are very good at the moment, in terms of from an attacking sense, and we'll be okay against other teams? Or do you think that there are going to be some cracks which might get exposed by other teams, which maybe aren't as good firepower wise?
If you assess our defensive performance today, I thought we were pretty good. I agree. Generally we were pretty good. So I don't necessarily think like Aaron was saying, that United weren't pummeling us and it wasn't constant waves of pressure and chance after chance. It wasn't that sort of game. I think it was just, like that extra bit of quality, especially up top, really did show. Like I think we said it in the preview, or maybe I can't remember who I was speaking to, but it was, United haven't been a very good team this season, but they definitely have very good individual players, especially in the final third. And I think that kind of shows, like Sancho's kind of coming into his own a bit. He's obviously, I love Sancho at Dortmund. I was raving about him before he signed for United. And he's starting to show kind of what he's about. They've got Ronaldo and Bruno Fernandes. Like, even though Rashford didn't have a very good game, you give Ronaldo a couple of chances. Like he missed that one where he cut inside and put Thomas Partey on his arse and hit it at Ramsdale. But other than that, I can't think of too many other chances that he missed. And he's obviously scored the one and scored the penalty. So it's maybe it's just a case of like in these games or games against these sorts of teams when you're talking about Liverpool, Chelsea, City, and now you're adding United to that as a kind of a loss where we've conceded a few goals. In the final third, these teams just have really, really good attacking players. And maybe it's just literally down to that on a game by game basis, as opposed to there being a trend.
But then do we not conclude then, does that not mean that ultimately, yes, fine, okay, we're not getting battered the whole game, but if we're playing teams against high quality teams who, we may concede 4 or 5 chances, we won't get battered the whole game, but 4 or 5 chances, we've just got to accept that's going to happen. And ultimately, if we play very good teams, they're going to score those goals. And in that way, are we saying that ultimately we just need to remind ourselves that we aren't that good yet, and we are going to be a team that will probably be at the very best, if all things go our way, we get 4th, that'll be fantastic. But is it a reminder of the quality difference between us and some of the teams above us?
Yeah, I mean, but I don't think we learned that in this game. I think we knew that already, right? Like, okay. We knew we weren't going to be anywhere near as good. We're nowhere close to Chelsea, Liverpool, and Man City. Like, we didn't need to know that today. I think today what I learned is that our attack, not necessarily attack, but our forward play is still lacking. I think, like you said, Raj, we've only scored 4 or 5 goals away from home this season,
including this.
And just I think there are times where I think we know that when we haven't got an elite defense. Like, we've got a very good defense, but they're not going to be able to stop Ronaldo from having half chances. We're not going to be able to stop Fernandes from getting in those positions in 90 minutes, right? And you could say, okay, fine, we were unlucky because United were clinical enough to punish us with those chances. But what I'm more concerned about is going forward, we didn't take the game to United and we didn't punish them. United were there for the taking, I thought. United were average. I don't think United are a good defensive team. I think our defense is probably better than United's. But we just didn't. We weren't ruthless enough. The chances that did come, we didn't take them. Aubameyang had a few half chances. Saka had a few half chances towards the end. I think Martinelli got in a good position once and fluffed that. And then, yes, the chances that do come, we don't take them. And we're not anywhere near good enough to putting teams under pressure. I don't think, after that first goal, we let United completely back into the game. I don't know if that was attack. There were some people on Twitter saying that, they thought it was a deliberate instruction from Arteta after we went 1-0 up to sit back. I don't think it was. I think that was much more about the kind of what's the word?
Maturity of the team.
Yeah, maturity to go and say, like, we're on top here. Let's take this game to United. And, we've got lucky with that first goal, but we're playing well at that point. Let's take the game to them and, try and kill them off.
I agree with you, because I think almost actually in some ways, the way that goal was scored, it wasn't very good for us, because it feels like we scored the goal. The players wouldn't have known all the details of, because, Smith Rowe's shot, they probably didn't know exactly what happened, right? They didn't have the luxury of watching the TV screens like us.
Yeah.
They would have known that there was probably a cloud of, doubt around it. And all of a sudden, Man United looked really fired up. And so Man United come out after that goal, and it seemed like they actually started playing better, and they were really fired up and angry and whatever. And it felt like we kind of had a little bit of a, oh my God,
I think a
bomb going to kick in here.
A more mature team doesn't let that get to them.
I agree with you. I agree with you.
We've gotten away with one here, or whatever you think it is.
I agree.
But we're playing well. Let's go for not go for the second, but don't play like the way we did to let them back into the game like that. And that's, I think, in moments we're just not mature enough to just to compete, and we because the frustrating thing is I look at this game and I think we played well. I don't think we played badly today.
Yeah, I also think there are some reasons why I think we consider ourselves unlucky in some instances, right? There was some that, well, first of all, I thought our set pieces were overall very good. And a couple of them were pretty well worked, and a couple of kind of headers that, that came from corners. On another day, they go into the top corner. Today, they didn't. I thought those things were quite well worked. There was a penalty that Tomiyasu probably should have had when Harry Maguire brings him down. If the referee sees that, it's given.
What is that about? I think we should probably mention it. I know. I'm probably going to sound like I'm moaning, and I am, to be fair. But I just can't really get my head around how they've obviously looked at it, right? They obviously do, because yeah. And what have they seen to suggest that that's not a penalty? I mean, it's baffling, really. It's really.
I guess
baffling.
the problem is for us in that situation is it probably comes down to the rule of, if they think the referee has seen it, then VAR needs to come up with a reason why they think the ref has seen something completely different, essentially.
Do you think they asked him, did you see that? And he would have gone, no, it's not a penalty.
No, I don't think they need to, because I think they'll have looked at they looked at the footage and saw him kind of there observing the incident. And what was it that he wouldn't have seen that they would have seen? So, for example, in the Odegaard penalty, well, what he wouldn't have seen is the fact that he didn't make contact with the ball. So they've gone, okay, there's a chance of a clear and obvious error here. But in that, they've probably just gone, well, the referee's made a judgment that it's stuff like that probably wasn't a big. The referees thought it wasn't a big infringement, fine, whatever, and that's probably what it was.
Yeah, I mean, I don't want to. I hate moaning about ref incidents so much, but I think he's got that wrong. Right,
the ref's got it wrong.
Yeah,
the ref's got it wrong.
Yeah.
Absolutely. I'm just saying why I think VAR didn't do anything about it. I completely agree. The ref's got it wrong, but they've looked at it. But then they should have seen it.
And isn't that the kind of foul that was it like this season or last season? They said, that kind of thing, pushing in the box, or pulling players' shirts in the box and all that kind of thing. What happens at every corner, every set piece? That's the kind of thing they're going to try and stamp down on. And VAR was there to help with that. And it's quite a difficult one to take. But I'm not making excuses. But yeah, it's quite a difficult one to take.
It is difficult, and I think we've always complained about Arsenal not reacting in a really kind of animated way when stuff like that, and I think we didn't again and again. I hope and I wonder if it wasn't a case where we had some kind of really weird complex about how the first goal went in. But anyway, the point is I thought we were unlucky there. We're unlucky in a couple of instances in that first half. For me, and I don't know what you guys think. It's like Miles, you sort of mentioned about the fact that you were quite happy with some of the things that you saw with what we're doing on the ball. I mean, to some extent, I do agree with that. I personally thought we were still overall quite good at dealing with the press. I thought we did keep the ball well in some areas, but I still, for me, feel like we don't generate enough high quality chances. And today was another example where I felt like it's probably typified in the way, for example, you said in your opinion that Auba didn't have that bad a game, and partly it's because actually there weren't that many obvious chances that he or other people missed. And I mean, do you think that's an issue, or what? How do you think?
I mean, it's not something that wasn't a takeaway from the game that I was sort of thinking about in terms of number of chances, because like Aaron was saying, I thought we did create a few decent ones, and we obviously scored 2 goals, right? It's a tough one because you do like when you've got a striker like Aubameyang who basically thrives off chances and isn't offering you a huge amount more. Like he's not an all-round, all-action type typical number 9, right? Then you need to make sure that you are providing him the chances in these sort of tight games where Ronaldo makes a difference, basically, for example. But I guess he's also been compensated a little bit because players like Smith Rowe and Saka have just really, really stepped up. And almost we haven't missed his goals as much in this like recent run of the last few weeks.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, look, in games like today, I don't know. I'm not sure, to be honest. I'm not sure if we necessarily needed to create a huge amount more. I feel like the reason we lost, if you score 2 goals away at Old Trafford, you normally come away, actually, to be fair, you don't necessarily normally come away with a draw, or at least a point, but that's not a bad sign that you're not, you haven't created anything, or you haven't been half decent going forward.
Good point.
Yeah.
But do you think we were good going forward? I don't think we were.
So personally, I mean, I don't necessarily think we were great going forward, but I sort of agree with what Maya's saying. I think, at Old Trafford, you're probably not going to, it doesn't matter how average Man United are at the moment, you're probably not going to create a shed load of chances. And we did score 2, fine, one was a fluke. We should have probably had 1 penalty. We had some good kind of set pieces. There were a couple of others, where Tavares has put the ball over to Saka, where, to be honest, like he probably should do better with at least one of those. There's a couple of times where Auba should probably pass it to Martinelli in one example. There's, Martinelli had that really good chance, if you recall, in the first half when he get. So, over and above that, I'm inclined to sort of agree with Mize on this. I mean, Aaron, do you disagree?
I think I agree that, the fact that as we scored 2 goals, we probably in another game, smaller margins and fine margins and all that. But I think we probably, Auba maybe puts that chance in or something like that. But to go back to your point on Aubameyang, I think with a better, not a better striker, but a more suited striker to this team, we create a lot more. And I think Aubameyang currently is taking away more than he gives to this team. The problem is that there isn't really anyone else. No one else is there, right? So they all do that at the moment. When you look at Lacazette, he adds a lot more in terms of the build-up play and link-up, but then he doesn't really add much in the box. And then you're down to Nketiah, who, in my opinion, just isn't that good.
Let's talk about that more broadly, right? Let's talk about the impact of those subs, because it was a very for me, I thought it was a very unusual circumstance to have scored 2 goals, be chasing the game, and have subbed off both players who scored the goals. Now, I know that there were reasons probably for it. Maybe ESR was a bit tired, but the fact is, the 2 players who scored goals went off. Auba goes off, and what we were left on the pitch included Laka, Nketiah, and so maybe just carry on from there, Aaron. And, did that fill you with? How did you feel when suddenly that final 11 players on the pitch were there in fruition?
It's all well and good to do this with hindsight, and maybe in a different world, Eddie comes on and scores a goal. But what evidence is there to suggest that Eddie is going to give you more than Aubameyang would? I know we go on about how poor Aubameyang is, and he does take his all-round game probably isn't beneficial, but when you need a goal, Aubameyang is still the best striker at this club, in my opinion. And to do that, take him off when, he was missing chances, but at least those chances were coming. Those few chances that we do create, they were coming to him. He's far more likely to do something, especially when you've got Lacazette on, who does link well with Aubameyang. There was no real reason to take him off. And I think my gut feel was there's probably a bit of naivety from Arteta, letting the frustration of him missing those chances maybe leading to a more emotional substitution.
Interesting.
I think he was probably quite frustrated that he's missed those chances, and his all-round game, he probably was quite frustrated and thought, I'm going to do something completely different. When I think a calmer head might have said, okay, I'll bring Lacazette on, let him play with Aubameyang for 5 or 10 minutes and see what that does. I think that was the wrong substitution. I don't really know why El Neni stayed on the pitch when we were chasing a goal. I mean, we can talk about his inclusion. I think he had a decent game, actually, El Neni, but I don't know why he needed to stay on the pitch when we needed a goal.
I mean, go on, finish.
And then that's it. And I think, and then did we really take off Smith Rowe? I know substitutions aren't completely pivotal, but I think he got the subs wrong, basically.
What were you going to say, Miles?
Yeah, no, I mean, I was going to say about when you mentioned El Neni, I guess at the point that we needed a goal, or should I say when it was 2-2, we've obviously kind of conceded that penalty out of nowhere, really. As I was saying before, it was fairly even, and we were well in the game. So maybe he didn't feel like I said, I thought El Neni had a fantastic game, especially when you compare him to how Partey played. I thought El Neni was really good with the ball, and he was doing a really good job in the first half of tracking Bruno Fernandes. I don't know if you guys noticed it, but he just seemed to be sitting on Fernandes, which was a kind of an obvious thing to do, but he was doing it quite well up until the goal, pretty much. So I don't know, maybe Arteta literally just, I mean, I guess the point I was trying to make was maybe he didn't feel like he needed to change too much we seemed to be controlling the ball quite well. And then that penalty happened, and I don't know, maybe there was an element of fatigue, like even though we're only playing once a week. I don't know, I'm probably making excuses for him now, but yeah, maybe there was an element of fatigue just with Monday on the horizon. But even then, obviously, look, this is the game that we needed to focus on and get a goal. So I don't know, it is a bit of a weird one. There were kind of strange subs. Saka was expected, but yeah, I didn't expect ESR to come off.
Yeah.
And do you think with Eddie there was any element of, he's allegedly turned down the latest contract offer? It seems clear that he's leaving.
Yeah.
Do you think there was any where Arteta went, do you know what? He might really be up for scoring to put himself in the shop window here.
I really hope not. Like, I don't not. I just hope not. I hope that was not in his thinking at all. Like, it doesn't make that. No, if that is true, if that is the case, I'd be quite surprised and I'd be quite annoyed or disappointed because, you've got a much bigger goal threat, in my opinion, like someone who actually will create in Pepe on the bench. And whatever people say about Pepe, as frustrating as he can score a goal out of nothing. He is a dangerous player. He does have a lot of attributes that would have probably brought something into the game, especially considering how much of the ball we had. So I hope there's another reason, like he's been smashing them in training or whatever. It's, one of the, and he's just impressed to the point that he gave him he brought him on just on merit, as opposed to anything else to do with contracts or anything like that, because that's just like that, to me, that's ridiculous. Like, if that is it, I hope that's not the case. Do you think that's what it was?
To be honest, I wonder at that moment in time when it's coming to the 80 odd minute, and Arteta is getting a bit frustrated with Auba. I wonder if it came into his mind a little bit. I wonder if he thought, you know what, Eddie would be well up for making some headlines.
But the thing with Eddie
he's up for it, but he's just not good enough, right?
I don't even know if it's that he's good enough or not. Like, yeah, okay, probably not for what we need as our number 9, our striker. But Eddie, it's the most obvious thing to say. He needs to be in the box and he will probably finish. Give him a chance, he'll probably take it. But then it comes back to, are we really creating these sorts of chances where the ball's landing at our players, 6, 7, 8, 9 yards out? That wasn't really happening too often. So what is the logic in bringing him on? Like, his biggest contribution was probably giving away that foul on the halfway line towards the end of the game. Like, that was a bit of an odd one for me.
So can we just talk about? We sort of just touched on it before that, about the choice to bring Eddie on over Pepe. Let's talk about that for a second, because we were all, I think, we all agreed that it was quite damning that Pepe didn't come on. When we previewed this game, I think we were all in agreement that we wanted Martinelli to start over Pepe. That happened, and Martinelli was probably one of, if not our best player on the day. I felt, he offered so much today, and I think he could probably turn around and be really, really proud of his performance. So he's started over Pepe. Pepe's on the bench, and we're looking for a goal, and Pepe has not come on. How much has that told you about what Arteta thinks about Pepe right now, and potentially what Pepe's future is going to be at Arsenal?
Yeah. Damning is the word you used, Raj, in our chat, and can't really disagree with that. I was thinking exactly the same thing when he made those subs. I kind of feel like Pepe still could have a big part to play in our season, as injuries and suspensions and all of that kind of starts to happen, especially over the Christmas period. So I still feel like he's a really fantastic option, but it does also feel like Arteta, I don't know if it's he's lost patience with Pepe, or maybe he's just realized the fit, just that it's just not going to happen for him with us.
I would disagree a bit, actually. I think when you look at the subs, if he was going to play Pepe, bring on Pepe, I think he thought, well, he's not going to play him up front. And if you're going to bring on Pepe, you have to either take off Saka, which he's just brought on, or take off Martinelli, who's playing really well. And I think he's just looked at it and thought, well, I'm not going to take Martinelli off. I'd rather bring on Saka than bring on Pepe, because Saka is, a better player than Pepe. And then he's thought, well, okay, they're my two wide players that I want to finish the game with. who are the strikers that I'm going to bring on? And he thought, well, I'll bring on Lacazette. And then he thought, okay, I'm going to need a second striker. I'm going to bring on Eddie Nketiah.
Yeah,
and
what I mean, sorry, just to like, what does that say then? If he's bringing on a striker that wants to lead the club,
so you think he should have brought on Pepe as a striker?
No, I'm not saying that, but if I think if you've got 10 minutes to go, I mean, Martinelli was having a really good game. Did Martinelli stay on for 90 minutes? I can't remember.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, he did. He did.
I don't know. I think when you get into the final 10 minutes and you're kind of desperate for a goal, I would 100% of the time, because the shape to a certain extent goes out the window, right? Not completely, but
no, I see what you mean. But I think,
does.
I mean, I agree.
Pepe can play either side. You could have gone Martinelli through the middle. You could have gone, well, yeah, that's one option, and then Pepe and Saka either side.
Could have done that. Fair enough.
But I just like the to go back to Raj's question, like, what does it say for Pepe? If you're Pepe sitting on the bench and you see Nketiah coming on ahead of you in a game where we need a goal, and it's not like Pepe doesn't have a goal in him, I'd be a bit worried, to be honest, or maybe the writing is on the wall for him. I'm not sure, but I can't really get my head around that one, because Nketiah has made it quite clear that he's basically said he wants to leave, right? Or is it just he's just not signing a contract, and he's not in our plans.
Yeah,
he's clearly not in our plans. You know, with what's happening with Balogun as well. Balogun seems to have a future at the club potentially. So, yeah, I mean, I don't really know what to make of the Pepe situation. Like I said, I still think he's going to get game time, as Saka probably picks up an injury, or whoever, one of the attacking players picks up injuries. He's sort of next in line, maybe after Martinelli now. So maybe he could kind of play himself back into some form and back into the team. But on a more general basis, I'm not sure. Like we've literally not seen him. I'm trying to think like when he last played league minutes. So it is a bit of it's one to watch, really, isn't it, to see what happens?
Yeah, I think it's clear he's quite far away from the first 11 right now, and he's slipping further and further away, with Martinelli now overtaking him in terms of like the pecking order. So I think there was a time where when he first came in, you thought, this guy's going to be our wide player, like our first wide forward, the first name on the team sheet. And now he's behind Saka, he's behind Smith Rowe, he's behind Martinelli. And that's just not good enough for someone like him. But I think that's all it is. I don't think he's, being exiled, or like, I don't think he's being pushed away. I just think there are three wide players who are playing better than him, and they're getting their chances.
Yeah, I agree. And you know what? We're coming into a really dense period. I mean, we were talking earlier in the day about who's going to what game and etc.
Yeah.
It's literally there's game after game after game after game in December. So I think it's inconceivable, in the same way that Arteta said today that part of the reason why he played El Neni, I don't know if he was saying the truth, but he said part of the reason was actually just we need to rotate because of all the fixtures. But there will be truth in that over December, right? Like there's just so many games, and we've got another one coming up this weekend, which is going to come up very, very quickly. I mean, it could be actually that we see Pepe involved in that game. So I can't remember which one of you said it, but I agree with you around the fact that Pepe could still play a big part of our season. But I do think that it was very interesting today. I think it was a very interesting decision, because I agree with you, Miles, in the sense that we could have. If Pepe had come on over Eddie, there's still Martinelli, there's still Lacazette who's on the pitch who can play as kind of centre forwards, etc. So I think it was an interesting decision, and ultimately it's difficult. When you lose, it's easy to turn around and say maybe that was a wrong decision. But anyway, whatever the case, guys, like I think one question I had to you in conclusion to this game is, fine we lost. When we previewed the game, we talked about the fact that the issue is if we lose, that really it's kind of a case where Man United kind of gained some points in us, but ultimately we still have points on the board. I think we've got 23 points. We're fifth. It's not like all of a sudden this loss has now catapulted us downwards. But how do you feel? Do you feel fundamentally differently about Arsenal and our prospects this season than you did before the game?
No.
Yeah, me neither.
It's one of those that is incredibly frustrating, because we should have won. Oh, not should have won, but we shouldn't have lost. But it doesn't doesn't give me cause for concern about Arsenal. If anything, and this is, I might live to regret this, is that I'm actually a bit more optimistic that United aren't actually that good.
It's really interesting you say that. I'm feeling the opposite because I feel that with United, it's a case where they just needed a basic manager to get a squad of that level to just do something. And it feels like they're the sort of team, they're just a sort of club where when they get some momentum, it always seems to go in a good direction. And suddenly
I don't know. Yeah, they are. I'm with you. I think they do need a more competent manager. And there is the risk that when the new guy comes in, he could turn them into a functioning team. And then they've got the quality and the tactics and the system to be a really good team. I don't think they outplayed us tactically. I don't think they came with a game plan that was efficient. I think the reason they won is because they have much more clinical players up front than we do.
But that's still going to be the case for the rest of the season.
Yeah, that's it. But that's always been the case. The only reason they have won the points they have is they're basically because they've got Ronaldo on the pitch. And you take that out, they're not a functioning team. Now, there is every chance that Ragnick can come in and make them a functioning team. But United currently, as they are, in my opinion, are not a well-functioning team. And again, I could completely regret this, but I think if they carry on playing the way they did against us, they will continue to drop points. And I think the question is, are we going to be consistent enough going forward to take advantage of that? And that's a big question. Like the same question marks remain over us, which is, are we good enough and are we clinical enough to manage these games and continue to take chances and do enough going forward? Because I think our defense is good enough. And I'm not too worried. Like when we played Liverpool, when we played Chelsea, when we played, Man City, there was a clear quality gap there. And you went away from those games thinking, we are well off those teams. I'm not today. I'm annoyed because I think we should have won and we haven't won. And that's just an annoying feeling. But I haven't come away from it thinking, right, we are miles away from United. United are going to go and do bits and, go and finish fourth, third, or anything. I don't feel that at all. I think United fans will probably be. I'd be really interested to hear what United fans think, because I know they can be deluded and they get carried away sometimes and think they're better than they are. But I think a few sensible United fans will be thinking, well, we got away with that one and we somehow managed to steal a win.
I think United fans might also just look at it and go, we've just played Chelsea and Arsenal. We've kind of come away with 4 points.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? That's the problem. That's kind of what I'm a little bit worried about. Exactly. Like, it's those little things which sometimes you just need kind of going for you. But sorry, Miles,
no, I mean, I semi-agree with Aaron. And I think, the Man United thing, I wouldn't necessarily go as far as saying they're like a non-functioning team. I mean, I think, as we keep saying, they've got really good individuals, and sometimes that gets you through to a certain point, if you know what I mean. Like
that's exactly what happened
world-class
today.
Players. Yeah, exactly. So they probably are going to win a lot of games, from now until the end of the season. Not at the level of the top 3, but potentially enough for them to get fourth, if that's what we're talking about.
Maybe.
But yeah, I think to answer your question, Raj, like I don't think it necessarily changes how I feel about Arsenal. I think it shows that this team has a lot to learn still, as we were saying. Like there's a lot of kind of naivety. When we scored the first goal, we seemed to sit back and let United onto us at the end. For the 20 minutes or so of that first half, which resulted in them getting the equaliser just before half time. Again, a really bad time to concede. The Erdegaard challenge for the penalty, very, very naive and rash. So I think there's lessons to be learned, which I think is what we're seeing from kind of every single game that appears to be challenging. So doesn't really change my kind of outlook for the rest of the season. I think the next few games are going to be really telling. Look, it's always the case, right? The Christmas period tells you a lot about what your kind of real goals are for the season and where you think you're actually what you're going to achieve. And I think if we can come out of the next, so Everton away, Southampton at home, and then West Ham, isn't it? I think if we can come out of those 3 games, especially the West Ham one, how massive is that now, with favourable results, and I'm sort of talking 7 points, then I would say we're well on for, I don't want to say top 4 because it's not top 4, it's 4th. But we're well on for, an improvement on last season, and hopefully 4th place, but yeah, top 6 for sure. Like the thing that kind of gives me a little bit of confidence is I don't think we're necessarily any worse than the other teams that are challenging for that fourth place. When you look at West Ham, Tottenham, United, it's probably that's it at the moment. I think Wolves is the next in line, and then you've got Leicester kind of lurking around 9th or 10th. So I don't think we're any worse than those teams. I think the concern is, like Aaron was saying, defense looks relatively solid, even though we've just conceded 3 today. But more so, the lack of cutting edge up front, and there's only so many games that Smith Rowe and Saka were really, are gonna, pop up with a goal. And we probably need one of our strikers to start firing quite soon. Unless, Smith Rowe, Saka, Pepe, Martinelli are going to be getting double digits this season, which I'm not sure is going to happen. Or Smith Rowe probably will, and Saka probably will, but I think you know what I mean. Like, we're going to need some goals from a striker. So
I think actually thinking of it more about it, like we're almost a bit, us and United have the kind of opposite problems in the sense that we are a relatively well-functioning team now that just is lacking like clinical quality up front. United have the clinical quality up front, but just are lacking the systems and the tactics and kind of the overall style of play. And the question is, if you just say, like, let's assume it's, I know you've got West Ham, you've got Spurs, and you've got other teams. Let's just assume it's between us and United. Are United more likely to get the systems, the tactics, before we get the clinical quality up front? And actually, if you do look at our striker situation, I don't think we're going to fix our striker situation this season. And in which case, it might actually be the case that Rangnick comes in and turns United into a more functioning team with that quality, then Arteta can somehow turn Aubameyang or anyone else and help Aubameyang recover his form and find 20, 30 goals a season.
Well, so, I think with regards to that, one of the best things that can probably happen to us, if it's just that equation between us and Man United, is for Man United to stay in the Champions League for as long as they can, to be honest, because that might be something which comes into play. If we look at the game that's the game that's coming up on the weekend, Everton, or you know what? Actually, just before we do that, like, because we spent some time talking about Auba, we spent some time talking about other individual players. We touched on Partey. Do we want to explore that a little bit more, guys? Because I think we talked before the game about the fact that he had a very good game last season at Old Trafford, but ultimately he was signed as this player who's supposed to be our dominating Patrick Vieira type central midfielder, signed at the peak of his powers. And it was a bit of a weird game. I know we touched on it at the beginning, but is there anything more we want to say about Partey's performance?
Like Raj, I think you put it quite well in the chat when you said, this is the guy that should be, and I think you just said it now, actually, sorry. This is the guy that should be dominating games. And it's a big concern for me, to be honest. Like, you can see in like you can see the quality at certain times. He's obviously got really good ability on the ball, but he's just very inconsistent through the game, very erratic with his shooting, with his passing. And the passing is the big one for me, because some of the passes that he wasn't making today were like very, very simple passes. Like, some of them were like 5-6 yard passes. And okay, as we can give him the plaudits for the pass for the goal, for the Ødegaard goal. But even that, it was a good pass. It wasn't, it wasn't one that's like breaking the lines of the defense. It wasn't an Özil pass or a Cazorla pass or whatever. So fine, there were some good moments against Day, but overall, I think he was more of a problem, because we seem to, if you look at the back, if you look at Ramsdale, White and Gabriel, and every time Ramsdale has a ball from a goal kick or basically playing it short, we're playing out from the back, and then Tomiyasu and Tavares, everyone's really comfortable on the ball. And if you like, I don't know if you guys noticed it, but I was really impressed with how well we got out from the back to get the ball into midfield. I was really, really impressed with it. I don't think United pressed us very well, but we seem to get the ball out from tight situations really, really well. And everyone's confident. Then the ball gets to Thomas Partey, and there seems to be this, like, I can't explain what it is. It seems to be either lack of concentration or just carelessness, because like I said, they're not difficult passes that he's not making, but he's just not making them on a consistent basis in every game. I'm sure his pass completion rate is probably decent because he's making enough to get it up to like 80% or whatever. But and that's like really, really concerning because he's not a Lokonga age inexperienced player. He's the guy that should be showing everyone else what to do, basically. And El Neni kind of outshone him today for me. I thought El Neni was much, much better. And it's just a bit of a big, it's not a bit of a concern, it's a big concern for me. And sort of a year and a half into his Arsenal career, roughly, a little bit worried, to be honest.
Yeah, I think you can, like you said, you can see the good that he does do a lot of good in games as well. Like even in the build up to the goal, I thought his play there where he kind of laid it on to Martinelli was really good. But alongside the bits of good that are really good, you can see that the top level quality is there. There's just a lot of crap in there as well, and it's just like, what are you like? And it just, I don't know, it just seems like something that would be so easy to cut out, but he's just not cutting it out.
It's very frustrating because I agree. I think the thing is, when we watch Champions League games now, we watch them and we're like, oh my God, it's so depressing. We're so far away from that. One of the things I always notice in these top level Champions League games is the pace at which these games are played at. And some of the things that Partey does, it reminds me of that level, because even today, when the game was going fast and Man United were really sort of pressing, there were times that he would have this moment where he would burst through. He would burst through a press. He would take it. He'd draw a foul, and suddenly we're 30 yards more forward, and suddenly Man United, are in a weaker position. All of a sudden, and so stuff like that. I'm like, that's what he's there for, because he's signed at the peak of his powers. Like the peak of his powers, signed from a Champions League team, a team that went on and won the league when he left, right? Like, I mean, it's not good. It's not good, but you know what I mean? It was the caliber of team that he was playing for, and it's not. I agree with him. It is a concern for me because ultimately, you forked out on a player for now, and everything about him is for now. He's not. We can't. He's unlikely to get better in next season or the season after. So it is a bit of a concern for me. But look, okay. I mean, look, let's see. I mean, I think in the interest of time, let's just look to Everton quickly, because there's only a few days away now. Usually after a defeat, you'd really like to have a home banker against a Norwich or someone like that, wouldn't you? Or a Newcastle. But that's not the case. However, if you're going to go away to a team, you're probably going to want to go away to a team who are spiraling a little bit, in a way that it would have been lovely to play United a few games ago when Ollie was still there. I mean, Rafa is in a bit of a precarious situation at the moment. The fans seem to be turning, not just him, but on the regime, on kind of on the chairman. Like, things aren't going very well. Money questions on money spent, questions on tactics, questions all over the place. They've just got battered by Liverpool. What do you think, guys? Is it a case where nothing is acceptable other than a win?
I think so, yeah. Yeah, I mean, we should go there. They're not very good. We should go there. We should win. And anything else in terms of a result is a negative. I don't think you can say, oh, getting a point away to Everton when Everton are this bad is good. So yeah, we have to go there and we have to win. And I think we will. Yeah, and that's kind of all I have to say.
I mean,
mine's looking pensive.
No, I'm a little bit worried. Like, I'm a little bit worried about this game because I think our boys are going to be very, very down after that defeat. That's quite a tough defeat to take. I know it wasn't like a last minute winner or anything, but I feel like they're gonna feel like they put in a lot. They're probably going to feel like they didn't deserve to lose. and they've lost to a Ronaldo penalty on the back of a moment of madness, basically, from one of our players. So I think they're going to be down. So it's going to require a big pickup, tomorrow and over the weekend from Arteta and the coaching staff in a short space of time. So it's a short turnaround time, and like they've just like you said, they've just been battered by Liverpool, and I'm a little bit concerned that Monday night under the lights, Goodison, kind of like tonight, really, in a way. The crowd are going to be well up for it. And yeah, while the quality has clearly not been there, like I think they haven't won in like 7 or whatever it is, I'm just a little bit concerned there might be a reaction from them. And it'll be interesting to see how we react if we do go a goal down and the crowd are well up, the crowd kind of really get behind Everton, and do we fold or do we have the ability to hold our own essentially and come back into the game. So I'm just a little bit worried. I completely agree that we should go there and win, and I think, to be honest, I still feel like we will, despite what I'm saying. I just have that kind of concern about everything I've just said. Yeah. So, but yeah, I do think that we will win. I think that there'll be a few changes. There has to be a few changes again, and yeah, I think we'll get a positive result, but slightly concerned.
Will it tell you? So you say slightly concerned. If we lose, let's just say if we lose to Everton, then it obviously puts us in a situation. We play Southampton at home. Obviously hope for a result, but then the West Ham game becomes even bigger. But even just isolating that to Everton, my thought would be that if we don't beat Everton, I think that my optimism of us putting a genuinely good challenge for fourth, I think I'd probably lower my expectations then, because ultimately I think if we're going to be losing games against the big teams, we're going to have to beat teams that we should be beating, and that's it. That's all we can do. If we're going to finish fourth, that's the bare minimum. And if we're going to therefore do that, we've got to beat teams who are struggling, and Everton are struggling. And so I agree with all the things that you said, Miles. Under the lights, Monday night after defeating against Liverpool. But at the same time, those kinds of narratives are going to pop up all over the season for different reasons.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
absolutely. Yeah. No, go on.
That was it. It was more about. I think that the game. I think the result in. Put it this way: it feels like the result against Everton for me will tell me more than the result today. It feels like the result in Everton for me will if we bounce back and win, I'll go, this team has character. Ultimately, it's the same as it was before. We got to win these games. Ignore like these one-off defeats, whatever. But if we don't, then that's going to be my concern. Yeah.
Very much agree. Like I said, it's just, I just hope that we can kind of turn up to this one, start how we started today, potentially create some chances and almost do what Liverpool did to a certain extent by, I'm not saying smash them by 4 or score 4, but really just dominate the game. I just feel like if the game's fairly even and a little bit scrappy, then a decision, a goal from them, and then it might not go our way. So, but yeah, to be fair, I actually think we will go there and win. I think we're going to put in a really good performance.
Yeah, what do you think? So I agree with you, Miles. I think I do think we'll win, and I think we'll put in a good performance. What about you, Aaron?
I think we will win, but I don't think we'll put in a good performance. I just don't think we're there yet in terms of being a team that's capable of putting in a performance consistently.
It's not really consistent.
Yeah,
okay. It's
yeah,
I mean,
like,
yeah. Sorry.
I don't think we can go and say and just go and play well and say Arsenal really played well today. I think we just don't have enough going forward where we're not just relying on a bit of luck here and there to get through. I think we're still like a team that just is going to play in these margins of, okay, luckily that game things went our way. And like today, things didn't go our way and we lost. And I think every game until we like upgrade our striker is going to be one of those where it's just fine margins every game, and hopefully we do more to just shift things in our favour, like we did against Newcastle, where we weren't dominant, but we were comfortable and we capitalised on the 1 or 2 moments that we got. But I don't think how many times have we had a performance this season? Yeah, Spurs was good,
Villa was good.
Villa was good. I mean, even Leicester, you could argue, we played well enough in those key moments and we just about edged it. But I don't think, I think when we say performance, I think there's a ceiling and in terms of how well we can currently play.
Well, I'd take a Leicester type performance. In my mind, that's what I'm sort of hoping for. I'm hoping that we go there and just really try. Because today we did a similar thing where I thought we started at a really good tempo. I mean, we had like 4 corners in about the first few minutes. Anyway, point is, I'd like to see us do that. I do think we need to take into account the situation that Everton are in. It's just a good time. I think personally, aside from the fact that it's a Monday night lights, I agree with that point. It's still a good time to play them because I feel the manager slowly lost the dressing room.
The risk is they sack Rafa before Monday.
That's the risk. That's a massive risk.
And they give it to what's his name, Big Duncan Ferguson.
Yeah, we don't want that.
No, we don't want that.
Yeah. No Calvert-Lewin, right? Still, I hope. He's still out? No, don't know.
Not sure.
Okay.
I think he might be coming back, but I'm not sure.
That's potentially
reportedly linked with Arsenal, if you believe the papers.
Well, today was he?
I've seen. I mean, it's just. I don't think they're credible. I don't think they're credible rumors, but it's like the Sun type rumors.
Only talk to me if it's Ornstein or Fabrizio. I don't want to know.
All right, guys. I tell you what. I think we've just hit the hour mark. So why don't we leave it at that? Look, it's been a great discussion. I think in a way I needed this to break it down and feel a little bit better. I'm trying to level myself out, and I think what, I'm trying to tell myself that the fact of the matter is there are still a lot of teams in this league that are below us right now, and we've still got points on the board. We've still got some winnable. I agree with you, Miles. I think 7 points out of a possible 9 in the next 3 is not only what we should be aiming for. I think we should get it.
Do you think we'll get 7?
I think it's very. It's very possible.
Let's predict the next 3 games. Then go on. So what do you reckon for Everton away, Southampton home, and West Ham at home?
Okay, so I'm gonna say that we beat West Ham and we beat Everton, we beat Southampton, and we draw against West Ham.
Yeah.
Although, our home record is quite good. You could say that we, may do well against West Ham. I don't know, but anyway, I'm just going to go with that for now. What about you, Aaron?
I think we win all 3.
Ooh.
Pow! Man, we can't put in a good performance. Says we can't.
Pow!
We're going to win 1-0.
We're not gonna dominate all those 3. I think we'll do enough, just about, going forward, because our defense is assuming we don't have any injuries. I think our defense is the best. It
can deal with some of the more average. I don't like using the word teams, but average teams in the league. But you got Ronaldo.
And we're not going to be facing Ronaldo every week, and he's not going to take those low percentage chances. And I think we've got 2 of those games are at home, right? Yeah. And the away game is Everton, who are not playing very well at the moment. So let's see you after we lose all 3.
Yeah, exactly. I can't wait to lose on Monday.
Excellent. All right, guys. Look, good chat. Thanks. Let's get this out of the system and hope we wake up tomorrow without the scars and without the poor mood that usually follows. So,
also, Raj, did you mention it was episode 50?
I didn't mention it was episode 50.
It's episode 50.
Happy 50th, guys.
Happy 50th. It's been emotional.
Bit of a crap result to spend on our 50th, but it's been a great journey. 50,
now we just need 50 viewers.
Now we just if we buy more laptops, we can just do it. We do it ourselves. Cool. Sweet, guys. All right. Talk to you guys later.
Cheers, guys.
Thanks for joining us, everyone.
Yeah.
Cheers.
See you later.